From Television City in Hollywood.
Hey, Angela? Oh. Angela? Are you here? Well, she must not be cooking. I don't smell anything burning. You know, I should have never let her talk me into buying a place that has a live studio audience.
Oh my goodness.
But I love her though. Oh, God. Peace family and welcome to Iyapo Yapa. Iyapo Yapa is an acronym and it stands for if you aren't pissed off, you aren't paying attention. And I'm Iyapo Yapa. Now, people who've been riding with me for a long time already know that. And already know that what I'm doing now is basically going back to my old format. I'll still be doing the podcast with my lovely wife, Angela, but now I'm kind of getting more back to doing the videos because I like them and they're fun, especially doing like the parts at the beginning. So I kind of miss that. So I'm going back to my old format. This is how it was before. Like I said, still doing the podcast. And there's a lot to catch up on, but actually there's not because I've been putting out my newsletter and my books and my short stories and so on. And I've pretty much been letting people know constantly where they can find them. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. The reason I'm up here today is that I'm not going to be before you long. Now, those of you who know anything about church folk, of which I'm not one, but anybody knows anything about church folk know when a preacher says they're not going to be before you long, that means they're going to be standing and talking for about 3 hours. But I'm not going to be sitting here talking for 3 hours. It really is going to be kind of brief. But something that I was thinking about was the people in our community, and I'll single out Sister Ajali Shabazz specifically for this, and there are many others, but she just instantly comes to mind because she's one of the few that's out here talking about Fukushima and the radiation issue that we're dealing with, whether we know it or not, whether we accept it or not. You know, we're dealing with this issue. And I was really thinking about not only Fukushima, not only the radiation, and not only the multitude of problems that our people face constantly. I was thinking about what it means when someone is delivering information, or what it means when someone is trying to get a message through. Now, I was thinking in terms of the way we eat. If you eat junk every day, all day long, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, you're eating junk. You're going to McDonald's, you're going to Burger King, KFC for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or you just eat processed foods constantly, and you're eating fish, and fish itself would be good for you if it weren't irradiated, but that's a whole different thing. What I'm saying though is if you're not eating well, even if you're exercising, I've heard it said that exercise can't overcome a bad diet. And I also hear people talk about cleanses, like cleaning out their intestines, their digestive systems, and so on. And my wife has done several different cleanses before, and she talks to me about them sometimes. And the purpose of a cleanse is, say that you decide that you really want to start eating well, and you do. Well, all change in that manner is good. If you're starting to eat more fruits and more vegetables that aren't GMO'd, and they're not, and honestly, kind of, even if they're GMO and you're eating fruits and vegetables and not eating meat and that, then you're still better off. Anything is better than just a bunch of outright crap. The more natural you get, the better off. I think everybody already knows that. And so once you start eating better, if you have had years and years and years of eating junk and crap, right? You can start eating better, and you'll start to feel better. But the effects of it, the nutrients you get, won't be optimal, because you're not able to absorb them because of all the crap that's still in your system. And it's not all about what you eat, it's about what your body absorbs. What good is it to eat fruits and vegetables and they pass right through you, and you don't absorb, you barely absorb any of it because you're all gunked up. So that's when it comes time that you have to do like some kind of a cleanse or whatever, so that you're more cleared out, you're more cleaned out, so that when you're eating these foods, then your body will absorb more of the nutrients, and it'll be more helpful to you, and you'll get a more powerful effect from it. I didn't come up here to talk about eating, though. I was thinking in terms of a psychological, a mental cleanse, because I have learned a lot just in the past few years. I've definitely learned a lot about radiation in Fukushima, and I've learned about other things. I've learned more about being pro-black, and I believe being pro-black is a very specific kind of a thing. That said, when people are teaching, and I apologize for the noise. I'm not in a fancy studio. I'm just sitting in my living room / kitchen, and the kitchen's clean, by the way. I don't know where to look there or there. But that's the camera. Anyway, when just the same way that a physical cleanse will help you to absorb the nutrients in the food more efficiently, I think that a lot of us, me included, need a mental cleansing. And some people might call that having to unlearn all this garbage that you learned, for decades and years, so that you can start to learn right. But it becomes frustrating. I can see where some of us who are genuine, the ones of us who are genuine and really care about our people, and if you hear something in the background, that's my fan, who are genuine can get very frustrated. It's like, I'm trying to tell our people this, I'm trying to pound, trying to get them to understand, and I'm realizing that a lot of it is because even if we're giving our people these good meals, like good mental meals, they're still not being absorbed because there's still so much crap in here. It has to be cleared out. Our brains need an enema. And that would be a good start. You know, a psychological freaking enema to clear out all this crap so that we can actually start learning something, so we can start hearing people say what is for what it is. So that said, I don't have all the answers to it. I don't have all the answers for it. I just know that I've come around to that understanding. Again, pardon the trapping. That I've come around to that understanding that I know that's what I need to do, and I've been doing it. Well, what's the process? I don't know. I do know that part of the process is that I have started cutting myself off from certain things. Like if you're trying to clean your system out, you're not going to do a cleanse and then put a burger, you know, and fish sticks right behind it and a bag of potato chips as soon as you finish your cleanse, and start gunking it right back up. You get away from it. You start getting some distance from it, and the more distance you get from it, the clearer your mind will become. You know, when my wife and I moved, I had always, my entire life, I wanted to be a writer. Everybody always thought that I wanted to be a cartoonist more than anything, because that's what I did, and that's what I did best, and that's what I was able to make money doing. I obviously didn't get rich doing it, but I was able to make money doing it. What they didn't know is I always wanted to be a writer, and I started writing Melanin. I think it's over this shoulder. I started writing Melanin like 4 or 5 years ago, and I got to like 3 chapters of it. I'm still concentrating on getting back into it, but I started like 4 or 5 years ago, and I did 2-3 chapters. My wife saw it, a few people saw it, but now after and it sat there for 4 years, and then we moved. When we got here, and we're in Central America, when we got here, after several months, my mind started clearing up, because I wasn't around all this crap. You know, I wasn't around all this BS. The only BS I see is from watching it on television from the States. I mean, every place has its issues. Every place has its issues, and every place has its racism. Don't get it twisted. But the United States is ground zero. Hands down, point blank, period, full stop. The United States is ground zero. So I got separated from that, and I decided to start writing again, because my mind had cleared. And within 5 months, actually it's more like 4. Within 4 months, I had finished Melanin. I finished And What of the Cargo, 2 novels, and Paradigm Void, a book of short stories, and a novella, The Redemption of Maxine Allison. I finished all those within 4 months. I've been wanting to write all my life, and got here and was able to do in 4 months what I wasn't able to do. And I'm not going to say how old I am. I'm an old guy. But all that time. And that comes from getting your perspective right, getting your head cleared out. And my head still isn't totally clear. No freaking way is my head totally cleared out. It's a daily process of of getting cleansed. But the first step, if I could tell you to do anything, or ask you to do anything, or advise you to do anything, it would be to start to separate from mess and confusion. We thrive on it. There's a kind of excitement and entertainment in it. Watching people beef, or reading about celebrities, or dragging somebody. I guess there's an excitement and a fun to it, but all that mess clutters your mind, and you're not seeing everything for what it should be. It's like not being sober. It's like being drunk or high. You're not seeing everything totally right. So that's what I got up here to say, because that's what I've been thinking about for a while, and that's what I'm doing. I'm presently reading The Crime of Chernobyl, which is a book that Sister Ajali suggests, and she has read it. She has read many books on the subject of man-made radiation, and I'm just starting to scratch the surface of it, because I'm working on projects myself pertaining to that. But having said that, that is one of the most important issues of our day. Sister Ajali and I are comrades in arms, and I would be remiss to not tell you about her book. Well, she has 2 novels out, This Black and This Black Nation. And I think This Black Nation can be found on 25,000yearcycle.org. At first it was .net. It's not .com at all. It's 25,000yearcycle.org. You can find it there, and you can also find Furnace of Affliction. I apologize. You can find Furnace of Affliction, and these are radiation cures, because there are cures for it. You don't have to just go the way of the dodo, as they say, or blindly and quietly into the night. The sister has studied what she does. Anyone who looks at my work, anyone who's read my books or whatever, I didn't go to college for that. I didn't go to school for that. I didn't spend a day in school to learn how to become a cartoonist. I taught myself from years of doing the freaking thing. Okay, and studying on my own and learning on my own. There's a lot to be said for people who are autodidacts. Now, everybody can't do it, admittedly, but there are a lot of people who are autodidacts and can teach themselves to levels that are at or higher than people who have gone to school and gotten degrees in it. I've met them. So anyway, my point is, what I do, I taught myself to do. What Sister Ajali has learned about radiation over the course of over a decade of constant study, persistent study and research. And I'm not talking about some internet research crap. Let me tell you something. This is a little aside, but look, with what we know, I might make this, do a whole video on this, but I want you to all think about something, especially, I'm not even going to go, because I'll end up going into a rabbit hole, but suffice it to say this. Sister Ajali, all of her channels got taken down. All of her channels got taken down because she was talking about that radiation, and she was talking about the problem in real world terms, and she was on to the truth of it. Okay? When you have all these channels that are spouting supposedly all this wisdom about secrets and secret societies and secret this and secret that, Um, with what has been proven with the Twitter files, what has been proven with suppressing the suppression of channels and deplatforming people, if this stuff was accurate, why would the people in power allow the stuff to still be seen and consumed? That's a total aside. I'm going to do a totally separate video from it. It's just something to think about. It's just something to think about. And once again, as soon as Sister Ajali started talking about that radiation, and not as soon as she got to talk about it for a while, when she started getting some traction and people started listening, she was gone. She was gone. Like a will-o'-the-wisp. So anyway, I got a little excited. Furnace of Affliction is also available at 25000yearscycle.org. This Black, the original novel, to my understanding, because I looked it up, Sister Ajali, if you're watching this, I couldn't find it on 25,000 Year Cycle. I only saw it on Amazon. So it's at Amazon, and I will give you the labs, and labs stands for link at the bottom. So that's one of my old throwbacks from the way that I used to do the videos. Anyway, you'll have the links to all that, in addition to links to my website, iyapoyapa.com. There you can find all the books I've written. You can find the books I'm working on. You can see my artwork and my cartooning. You can hear my music. My music is but I played it and I wrote it. I like a lot of it. So that's just something. It's a hobby of mine. So if you want to hear some of my music, or if you want to see my cartooning and my process from pencils, inks, and color, and also especially what I write. And there are several Easter eggs hidden in the site where there's just some fantastic stuff going on in there. Also, if you you can register for my monthly newsletter. I have a free newsletter. It's called Reading and Writing in the Dark, and it comes out at the beginning of every month. It's absolutely free. There's a short story that I wrote called Moanis the Oak Tree that people absolutely love, and I'm not just saying that. People love this story, and you get that free just for registering or subscribing. And keep in mind, I never spam anybody. Anyone who's registered, or I don't know why I keep wanting to say registered, but subscribe to my newsletter can tell you at the beginning of the month they get my newsletter. They don't get a whole bunch of crap. If there's something like super special that happens, I might send an email out about that. But in a year, I've never done it, ever. And anyone who is subscribed to the newsletter, put in the comments attesting to that fact. All you ever get is the newsletter. I do not spam people. If you want my newsletter and it's free, then just register. Then subscribe to it at iyapoyapa.com, and you get the free short story. There was something else I was going to say about that. There's links to my Twitter. There's links to my Instagram. I take a lot of photos, so of the beach and of the jungle and so on. So you might want to check some of that out. I'll put all the links in the description. In addition to a link to Melanin, my first novel. It doesn't have a lot of reviews, but all the reviews are 5-star reviews. And it's like, it's like Ajali says, I have no control over the reviews. And Cargo hasn't been out for that long, but it has 5-star reviews. And those who've read it really liked it. I just sat in with a book club at the beginning of this month, I think it was, and discussed the book, and I was very, very honored uh, to be asked to speak at that book club, and I ended up joining it. It's called the book club is the Bucanistas, or they were looking for a name. It's all black women, and the name that we picked for the um, book club is the Bucanistas and a guy. That would be me. So have that. There's just so much that goes on with that site, and in my newsletter, it talks about what's upcoming, um, what I'm working on. It has reviews of other people's books. It has links to books by people I know, and every month there's either a crossword puzzle or a word search every single month, and it's all free, and it's a heck of a newsletter. Like, I see newsletters. This isn't putting anybody's newsletter, but like Angela said, this is more like a magazine than a newsletter. I put a lot of work and love into what I do, and anyone who sees what I do can tell that I put a lot of time, energy, and effort into it, because I feel like it's for our people, and I love, honor, and respect our people that much. So there's that, and at the website there's also a link to the podcast, the Reading and Writing in the Dark podcast. I have a Reading and Writing in the Dark channel on YouTube. So it's just all kinds of stuff going on, and I think that's about it. Of course, I can't leave out the fact that my beautiful wife is also a writer. Yes, Angela is a writer, and she writes romance, among other things. And she has I think 5 books out now. It's affirming self-love, or it's her book series, and you can find those on Amazon. Of course, I'll leave a lab for that. And she has 3 Kindle Vella series. Kindle Vella is a format in which the stories are episodic. They're not long. You can take like 5 or 10 minutes, 20, depending on how long the stories are, to read episode by episode. It's like watching a television show, and each episode is, a thing unto itself. Plus, it progresses the story. And she has 3 episodic series on Kindle Vella. One is I Declare Love. The other is 365 Dates. And the other one is the Love Tamu Agency. And they are all excellent series. And my own series, I can't remember. I do so much. I can't remember the name of my own Vella. The series is Surviving the Worst. Duh. It's called Surviving the Worst, and trust me, it's good. Why aren't you reading it? Why aren't you reading this? Kindle Vella. So I've sat here and talked long enough. I went longer than I wanted to, but I'm not going to go 3 hours because I'm not your pastor. So that's about it. And I love all of you. Leave me some comments. Let me know if you like the fact that I'm going back to the original format. And I guess I'll talk to you soon. Peace.